Hey guys, this is Wayne F. Watley Jr., and it's been a while, and I've been having computer issues at my home, so here I am doing this without any editing. We're going to see if we can do all this in one take, because I don't have any way of editing right now. You're getting this live, so consider yourself blessed. Anyway, how have you guys been doing? I've been doing great. Been really busy. I miss seeing all you guys at the Breakfast Club there. But YouTube's newest move to me with the small creators, it seems really fair. I made the cut, and I haven't tried making a YouTube video or promoting my channel with any effort in the last year and a half, probably. Every once in a while I'll put something up there. I put no time into it. I had 205,000 minutes, watch time minutes in the last 365 days, and that was with no effort on my own. So I think if somebody doesn't make that cut, and I have a little over 1,000 subscribers, if someone doesn't make that cut, then they're not really trying, because I'm not trying at all. And I remember back whenever I first became a YouTube partner, it was different. I had to actually apply for being a partner. Used to have to apply for partnership, and I made it. Of course, the funny thing is I had less subscribers, and I had more engagement because I was making regular content. I think if you make regular content, eventually the subscribers will come and the watch minutes will definitely be there. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I was just responding to all I've seen so many videos about this lately, and on Twitter and stuff, and I'm not on Twitter, so I get all my Twitter information secondhand. So I want to talk about the Hive Mind, and I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible with no editing. I know there's going to be a lot of filler here that I would normally cut out. But the Hive Mind, it manifests itself through several different means. I want to talk about, first off, collectivism, where the powers that be will divide and conquer through different things, such as one example is hating Donald Trump just because of who he is. Now, the man has done a lot of things. He's definitely not my favorite person. I am not a Donald Trump supporter, but just like with Obama, I was not an Obama supporter either. But I could find some of the good things he did, such as whenever he mended relations with Cuba a little bit more. Obama did that. I've also found some good things that Donald Trump's done, but some of us, we cannot be honest with ourselves, because if we like something that Donald Trump has done, then that means that we're all of a sudden mixed in with being a racist and whatever else we think he is. That's not true. An asshole can do something good, and you can like something he does. We don't get into the collectivism of, just because this person is this person, he's the epitome of evil, so I'm against everything he does all the time. You got to look at things from an outside perspective, because really all of this is just bullshit and drama anyway, and I'm going to get to that later. But another thing is sports teams. There are people who will even, I've seen it where people will fight each other after a game because of sports, because of bread and circuses, religious affiliations. We know that this causes all kinds of rifts and wars and all kind of things, and not just in Islam, Christianity, even as far as the 1980s and 90s with Catholicism and Protestantism in Ireland. This shit happens, and so collectivism. We're on this team, not on that team. Everything about this team is bad. We've made it like a comic book where there's no nuance. This person's 100% bad, and this person's 100% good, and we ignore the flaws of the one we like, and we do not give any mercy to those who we don't. And so when we can be divided, then we can be conquered. And collectivism is definitely in different aspects is playing a part in that. The rah-rah version of patriotism. Guys, the United States is not going to be the superpower that it was 15 years ago. It's not going to be anymore. I mean, if you know that whenever we toppled Gaddafi, and Gaddafi bent over backwards in order to follow the rules, and we still came in and killed. As you know, that Hillary Clinton said, we came, we saw, he died. And then she laughed about that. Well, it kind of makes you if you really think about it, Tulsi Gabbard even said this. She's a Democratic congressman from Hawaii. I really like her. But she said that can you really blame North Korea for not wanting to give up their nuclear missiles? I mean, holy crap, guys. I mean, Gaddafi was an example. We're not going to be the biggest superpower anymore, and it's because we cannot be trusted in the United States. We don't have the moral superiority to go around and try and tell the world how they need to live. So anyway, collectivism, false patriotism, religious affiliation, sports teams, all these things. Under collectivism. Number 2 is manipulation. Once we're divided, then we can be controlled and manipulated. For an example, the news. The news will manipulate you, and there's social experiments all the time on this. Just recently, here in Louisiana, it was cold where it snowed and it iced. It was like 18 degrees or something like that, 14 degrees. I'm not sure, but it was cold, and the news kept saying all these things about, it's going to be cold. We're just sitting ducks. We're just waiting, and then everybody rushed to the grocery store and bought out all the essentials, water, milk, or whatever it was around here. I mean, people were panicking, and that was controlled. It's because people are manipulated and controlled by the press. It lasted a day or so, and it was nothing compared to what you would think, but it just shows that people were controlled in mass. And it works. Manipulation, carefully selected news stories to fit a narrative. We see this all the time, and then because of these things, with the Me Too, with Black Lives Matter, all these things all formed from a narrative created by the media. I mean, you know how many stories there are out there, and how many directions we could go, that they're writing these stories, and we're just being pulled. Our strings are being pulled. I mean, come on. These are things we're being manipulated with. Politicians feeding you a line of bull to keep you in line with their party is a form of manipulation. Television programming. It's called programming for a reason. Yes, they are trying to push forth an agenda. Even if it's one you agree with, you have to admit there's programming in any shows, even from shows like The Flash or whatever shows I've watched. I've seen things and I'm like, yeah, I can see right through that. Little political statements here and there. Nazis are bad. Of course we know Nazis are bad. But all kind of things like that. I mean, I'm rambling and I don't want to expound on that because this video is going to be way too long. But public education is a way to control you. Public education, at least from my experience, it teaches you how to be a good student, how to shut up, how to not ask questions that are outside of the narrative or paradigm of what they want you to ask. There's people who cannot sit in a classroom for so long without getting so antsy. And I was not really a good student. But yet, there was a lot of things that I just didn't fit into, and a lot of people don't. And so then we drug them up. This is the next thing, the third thing. Subdue us with chemicals. Number 1, collectivism. Number 2, manipulation. Number 3, subdue us with chemicals. And that's what they do in the schools now. Subdue these kids with Ritalin and other things to keep them quiet, to keep them hush. Chemicals in our food keeps us docile, lethargic, and fat. And I'm a leading expert in that one. Pharmaceuticals, masking the symptoms instead of sifting out the root cause, keeping you on drugs so that you can keep going back to the doctor and being dependent upon drugs that are not doing anything but just maintaining your health or maintaining your sickness instead of actually getting the root cause. Maybe it's in your environment or your diet or something like that. But that's not something that's ever talked about really. And then pornography is something that releases the chemicals in our brain, and it rewires us. And it's the reason why so many young people are not interested in sex anymore outside of having sex with their hands. These things are really changing our brains. And then there's a promise of reward, consumerism. If you do this, you'll get a lot of money and you'll be able to buy all this shit you don't need. And, George Carlin said it best. He said, how come your stuff is stuff and other people's stuff is shit? Because it's not your shit. So, chasing money and power instead of your passion and your purpose. Guys, if you feel like you're in a cage doing what you're doing, then get out of it. I promise you, you will not regret it. Maybe it'll be scary. I used to be a pastor. I got out of it because I saw that it was just a big farce. I got out of that, and I was so scared because that was my livelihood. You know what? I'm better off now going with my passion than I ever was just being a pastor, dead inside after a while. And then power, that's a reward of power whenever you're in a place of prestige. That's the promise of reward, but these rewards are really hollow. And so how can you overcome? Well, first, be honest and introspective for a few minutes. I know I'm addicted to unhealthy food, and I've had to look at the root cause. There's something behind that, and I've been talking with people about that. At first I was very resistant to that, but you just need to be honest with yourself and introspective for a few minutes. Okay, and so what do you guys think? Are any of these things pulling at your strings? Do you think I'm full of shit? Let me know in the comment section below. Like and subscribe.